Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Christina, and I'd like to share a dream that the Lord gave me on August of 2023. And this one is about AI, artificial intelligence, and robots. And in this dream, I am sitting in an audience. I'm about 5 rows back from the stage, and on the left side there's a door, an open door, and in walks two robots onto the stage. And one is tall, like a man size, and one is small, child size, probably around 7 or 8, if I had to guess. And that length. And so they walk in to center stage, and on the center stage there's a man there, and he asks them questions. And people were oohing and eyeing over them, like, wow, that's so cool, kind of a thing, because they moved when they walked and moved, they moved so human-like. And then when they spoke, their words and responses were very human-like also. It wasn't computery in any way. And so people were like, wow, you know. And so as I'm looking at these robots, I'm like, they are very human-like. The tall robot had a white covering, partial covering. It wasn't like completely covered skin, but it had like a face covering, and a chest, arms and leg covering, back covering, hind covering, that kind of thing. So, but there were still partial openings where you could see the mechanics of the robot, machinery and stuff like that. That was a tall robot. The small, short robot, a child-sized robot, it was all robot. You can kind of see almost through in some places, or you can see through it on some places, just, openings and stuff. You could see the wall behind. It was actually like a screen behind there. And so you can see the whole robot thing. He had kind of a face feature, eyes, nose, mouth. But it was just all metal. You could see all the medical mechanics, gears and wirings, whatever it is that's in the robot. You could see all of that. And so you could tell it was a robot. But they acted, walked, moved, talked, like human-like. And then as I looked at them, I asked the Lord in my dream. I was also aware of this, and so in my dream, as I'm watching this, I look at them, and then I asked the Lord, I'm like, really, are humans really going to follow these robots? They're going to take instruction and direction and to these robots? And then instead of answering, I refocused again on the small robot, child size. And the tall robot next to him just kind of reached over and smacked the small robot's face. And on the small robot's face, face part, all of a sudden it looked human. It looked like a child, like a little boy. And everybody was like, wow. And I was like, oh my goodness, that really looks human. Like, it looked like a little human face on that robot. And it was still robot, but now the human face, and you can see part of the face wasn't all the way, it had kind of flapped right here. And but the part that you see is like very, very human. And then I was like, oh, yes, I can see it now. I can see if these robots look this human and move and talk this way, people will be deceived very easily. And then all of a sudden, the child robot, remember, it's a robot, but it's now looking like a child on the face. Now it's fully child looking. Hair, ears, the face is right on correctly. It has it has skin like human-like, like a child, hands, everything, and then it's dressed like a child. And now I could see, I'm like, yeah, if people saw that, if anybody had walked in at that moment, they would think that's a child on the stage. They would not think that it was a robot. And the Lord said, or put in my heart and put in my mind, humans are very easily deceived, led astray, and also they easily forget things that they know, things that they saw, they still easily forget it. Just like when I was in that audience and people were like oohing and ahhing over the robot, small robot that looks like a child. They're like, oh, it's so cute, and then its responses is childlike, human-like and childlike. And so I'm like, yeah, I can see people being deceived because they look very human, or that child looked very human. And if all the robots look that human, they're going to be very easily deceived if you don't have the ability to discern truth from lies. And so we need to be aware of what's going on with this artificial intelligence, robots, technology. It's all interconnected. And I had a dream in January of this year, 2023. You can go back and watch it. It's called The Blessing, Robots, Rockets, and Tech, and the evilness behind it. So you can go watch that video. Well, I'll give you a little bit of it. In that video, I see a keyboard wall. There's a wall of keyboard, just like the typing kind. So it's just a whole wall of it. And then it's like somebody hit a key, but instead of letters coming out, it's robots coming out. Little robots. It's like shapes of robots just coming out, like lines of it. And then it pauses, and then it's again, and then it's rockets coming out of it. So robots and rockets come out. And then those lines, or those rows of rockets and robots, start slithering around the keyboard or underneath the keyboard. So it's moving the keys, and you can see the keys moving in the shape of robots or rockets. And they're just slithering all around on this big old wall of keyboard. And so there's evilness behind this technology, behind these robots and rockets. And this tech that we have, this artificial intelligence now with the robots, there's evilness behind it that's going to be controlling these robots. And if these AI robots, artificial intelligent robots, gain control of rockets, that would be a disaster. But anyway, so there's evilness behind it that we're going to need to be fighting against and praying against and coming against. But the Lord just showing me how the deception is going to be done, and how some people are just very easily deceived. Those that are not with the Lord or walking with the Lord, that are not praying, that are not reading His Word, that are not fully committed over to Him, they're going to be deceived. And so we need to make sure that we are strong in the Lord, strong in the Word, strong in our walk with Him, because His Word renews our mind, helps us with discernment, so that we can tell what's real and what's not, what's right and what's wrong, what's truth and what's lies. And so we need that with all the stuff that's coming. And so we need to be very strong in the Lord. And so I just wanted to bring that to you, this dream. And also just, there's a lot of weak Christians right now. And there's doing a great shaking. And the shaking is for those that are not in the Lord, don't believe in Him, deny Him, or don't want to be on the Lord, with the Lord. And it's also for those that are not strong in the Lord. Because if you're not strong in His truth and in your following of Him and your walk with Him, you're going to be shaken loose. Do not compromise. Compromising weakens things. So if something is compromised, it's weakened. So if you're compromised in the word of the Lord, you're weakening your tie to the Lord. If you're compromised in speaking His truth and defending His truth, you're compromising. You're like, I just won't say anything because I don't want to offend anybody. No, that's compromise. Do not compromise the word of the Lord. Do not compromise the Lord. Don't weaken yourself. Stay strong in it. Yes, you may make enemies. That's okay. As the Lord said, they hated me before you. So we need to make sure that we're strong in the Lord. So stay prayed up, stay armored up. Read the word. If you're going through rough times, even if you don't feel like it, read the word. It will draw you back. Listen to uplifting Christian music. Don't listen to secular music. Just try to stay as much as you can strong, faithful to the Lord. Just cling to Him. Don't let go at all. No matter what happens, don't let go. So I wanted to share that with you and remind you again, don't be deceived. Pray for discernment. Pray for the grace to get through whatever's coming. We need to make sure that we have that grace to be able to trust in the Lord fully, no matter what happens, no matter what we see, what we hear. We're trusting in the Lord, because there is a deception coming that's going to be like, what? People believe that, but then you're like, yeah, people believe that because it's real looking. It looks real. It looks true, but it's not. It's a lie. So, anyway, stay prayed up, stay armored up, and I love you. Jesus loves you. Have a great night.